Won't. Did it let you go live?
Nope.
Oh man, that stinks. All right, well, here we go. Back with another episode of AVT. Hopefully I'll have the corrected banner at the top soon. Green screen should be in any day now, which means I will not be able to wear this shirt again once the green screen comes in, which is really very, very sad. But I am here with
Robyn Dunne. Hello.
Robyn Dunne, and we are going to talk about spirituality and atheism. Now, to be clear, in my opinion, those things don't mix. But anyways, Robyn, tell me a little bit about yourself.
What about me?
Anything. Hi, Sierra.
So I'm a self-proclaimed hippie, kind of new age spiritualist, but I have a regular job and plan on, doing a lot with my hippieisms in the future.
Your hippieisms. So you did a reading on me many years ago when you were still learning this, correct?
I did a reading for you not too terribly long ago. It was like a year or something.
Was it? No, I think it had to be longer than that.
Maybe.
Aw. Robyn is gorgeous. That's so sweet. Yes, she is a very attractive woman.
Oh.
All right. So spirituality. What does spirituality mean to you?
To me, it incorporates a lot of things, but I think the basis of it is energy. And it's about the connectedness of all humans as well as any other living creatures, and how it's all interconnected, basically.
So for sake of clarity, when you say energy, are you referring to energy which can be explained by science, or are you referring to a supernatural element attached to energy?
Well, it's kind of melding into each other over time as science improves. So it's a little bit of proven and a little bit of still being worked on.
Okay, so you do believe in these supernatural elements attributed to spirituality,
like
or
what?
that a type of god, psychics, tarot cards.
If you consider that out there in that sense, then yes.
Yes, I would. So supernatural, anything that can't be explained by it cannot be naturally explained. So
yet
a psychic ability would be supernatural. A god would be supernatural. Telepathy, all would be supernatural.
Sure.
Okay.
It's not yet scientifically proven. Well, I shouldn't even say proven. It's not yet mainstream, and so the mainstream science isn't talking about it yet.
It's not. So okay. It's not mainstream, or it doesn't have scientific evidence to support it.
It's not mainstream. There is scientific evidence to support all of the main aspects of the spirituality that I have.
Is that something you can address? I don't know what he's talking about.
The group that I almost joined.
All right.
I don't know, Richard.
Richard, if you could specify. So let's start with past lives. You believe in reincarnation, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so get me from where I'm at now. So just to give you an example, I personally reject or don't believe in anything supernatural.
Okay.
So I don't think there are past lives.
Okay.
So help me get from where I'm at to where you're at.
All right. So you start with consciousness. Consciousness is, first of all, not something that is scientifically pinpointed in the slightest. So we don't know where consciousness comes from. We don't know how it functions. We don't know why it's different between individuals. So you start with consciousness. Consciousness is a way that a lot of people would describe the soul, where it's like your special self that is able to transmit itself not just in your body. So the idea of reincarnation, and I'd love to talk about tons of the evidence behind.
I would love to hear this evidence.
There's so much. There's so much. So basically the thought is that your spirit, your soul, your consciousness, your energy, when your body dies, it leaves your body, and then because energy can be created, it cannot be destroyed. So your energy isn't going to just cease to exist. It's going to be somewhere. So the idea of reincarnation is that your energy will leave your body, but then it's going to come back in to another body. This to me is kind of like, it works into like the meaning of life, which in my experience is learning and growing on every level that we can as a human. You can't do that in one life, right? Like you can't learn everything in one life. So if your consciousness goes and comes, and I'm Robyn, and then I leave and I come back and I'm Joe, and Joe is a really bad guy that does bad things. It's because those are experiences that are going to help my soul, my spirit, my consciousness experience every level that it can on this plane and other planes.
Okay. So you were on a roll, so I did not want to interrupt you, but I want to backtrack to the first thing you said. And I'm only explaining this from how I think. To me, when you say consciousness, for example, it can't be explained. One, you need to demonstrate that consciousness is anywhere exterior to our mind, because the mind can be investigated. We can look at it under an fMRI. We can see emotions. So to me, that's where the explanation kind of stops. So how does it go from what we can observe in here to now there's a consciousness outside of this?
Well, there's a lot of things to talk about with that. The first is that, yes, you can see emotions in brain scans because different parts of your brain light up, but that doesn't fully express consciousness. But I'm sorry, the question is what, like how, or?
I guess my question is, so I see no demonstration or reason to believe that anything outside of my mind, like external consciousness or supernatural consciousness, is at play here. To me, it's all right here.
Okay.
So where are you going? You're saying consciousness is exterior to my mind. Is that correct?
So the way that I feel things anyways is that consciousness is kind of like a tree. But I'm going to flip the tree upside down just for purpose of visualization. Imagining the roots of the tree and the core of the tree is going up into the universe, and then it branches out into all the leaves that are people, right?
Okay.
So consciousness is both you as the leaf and connecting to a universal consciousness that connects everybody, that everyone can tap into. And what I want to talk about is some of the experiences people have had in past lives that I know it's anecdotal evidence, but there's tons of it, and that's all we have to go by right now since we don't have science to prove it. So there have been.
May I ask, before you go into that, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, so you're saying all this, the consciousness is connected via the tree analogy. How can I investigate this, or how can I look into this to see what you're talking about? Because I'm not really seeing it. I'm just seeing, hey, there is this thing, but how do I investigate that thing?
So the way to investigate your connection to the consciousness that is beyond just your own ego and personality is through meditation. And no, ego, not ego in a bad way. Ego meaning a sense of self.
I know. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So through meditation, and it takes a lot of silent time and connecting with yourself. And this is where psychics and tarot reading and all these things come in, is in that practice time of connecting to your own self. You connect to something higher. And the only way I can describe it is that once you've gotten in a practice of meditating and you get outside of your ego, you go into other places and you connect to other energies, which is how you can read cards and give messages for other people, because you connect up into their energy.
So to me, card reading or psychic reading, which, sorry, I don't want to go off topic too much, but all that to me is simply just having the natural ability to pick up on someone's emotions. Like that, at least that's how I see it. Like,
fake people, yes. So when you have fake psychics that they're reading, like, okay, we're naturally going to read each other's body language. That's how we work as humans. But there are fake psychics that will ask questions and they'll give general statements and things that can, fit for anybody. That's a different story. Real psychic ability, which is really just human ability to connect to each other, is being able to connect to somebody else's vibration, which we're going to talk about energy and vibration and how this is a possible thing. And that's how you gain insight into a person's emotions or thoughts or experiences.
So how would, let's say I'm a layman.
Yeah.
And I go in, there's 2 psychic stores right next to each other, or psychic places. How do I determine which one is lying and which one is telling the truth?
That's the thing about fakers. Like, honestly, the way that I would do it is through intuition. If I look at a building or another building, I'm going to listen to my intuition that says, stay away from there and maybe try that one out. And that is the connecting to the consciousness kind of thing. Intuition is drawn right into that.
Okay. So,
but there's no way to know when you see them. Like, you're either fake or you're not, you know?
So, okay, let me put this in a different analogy. I DJ. If someone wants to know if I'm a fake or bad DJ, I can send them a video of me performing, and they can see me hyping up and energizing the crowd. On the flip side, a bad DJ probably can't do that. So there is an easy way, a very easy, clear path to tell who's good and who's bad. There's got to be a way. If these psychics are real and credible, there should be an easy way to tell which one's telling the truth. Because if you can't, couldn't they all be lying?
Well, I mean, you look at politics nowadays and you can lie up your ass as much as you want to. But
that's true.
To know the truth is, there's never going to be an easy way unless you're tuned into your intuition. Okay, so it's a lot of reading other people too. When you look at what they're doing, you can tell if they're connecting or if they're like, Miss Cleo says, like.
Oh, Miss Cleo. Richard brings up an interesting point. Energy cannot be created or destroyed if thermodynamics is true. Did I hear you say it can be created?
I meant to say that it cannot be destroyed, but not that it can be created. Sorry. Thank you, Richard.
Sierra. So here's the issue with that is there are, again, reviews I don't think are going to speak to if the person is telling the truth or not, because people are typically gullible. I mean, I have convinced people with basic card tricks that I legitimately have superpowers. So to give you an example, I have this voodoo magic trick I do. And I was doing it on this guy at work. And it's essentially you make a black spot, a burn mark show up on their hand by burning a piece of paper. This guy was so convinced. He's like, dude, he comes up to me after an hour, bro, my hand is burning, man. My hand is burning. And I'm just like, dude, it's just the trick. And he at that point didn't believe me. He's like, no, I know you did something to me. And I'm just like, okay, I'm telling this person that I was outright lying to him and playing a trick on him, and he didn't believe me. So I'm like, all right, hey man, get some lemon and honey, mix it together, put it on the wound. Oh, dude, thank you. It's so much better now. And that's my point, why reviews shouldn't necessarily be credible when it comes to a psychic. There should be a very easy way to tell, which one's real or not. But
it's that easy in life when it comes to something so serious, okay?
Well, okay. It should be easier though. So for example, if a psychic is claiming to be speaking to my brother, there should be an easy way for me to say, hey, this person's BSing, this person's not.
Well, yeah.
I shouldn't have to go to, 642 psychics, find out all 642 are lying and keep going. Like we should have an easy way to determine which ones are truthful or not.
And that's going to be in their responses. So I've gone to somebody who was able to connect to people who have passed. That's not me. I can connect to living people just fine. What is this? I'll read that in a second. I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I won't put them on the screen. Or if I do put them on, so I just trigger comments as they come in. I'll only address them with you if they need to be addressed.
Okay.
KCA Randy, hi. Thanks for watching again. As always, appreciate it. How do you find a good therapist? I wouldn't compare a therapist with, for instance, legitimate education to a psychic. That would be my concern. But sorry, Robyn, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. I don't even remember what I was saying anyways. Yes. I was talking about the person that I went to who was able to connect to someone who has passed. The reason that I knew that it was accurate was by the things that she said. I felt at first that she was going to be accurate simply by the vibration that I felt off of her, the way that her body language was, some of the natural things that we pick up on, where I could tell, since I've been meditating and spiritual for so long, I could tell she was getting in that zone. And then the things that came out of her mouth were things that nobody else would have been able to say. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I found my best friend, Nick, dead. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. And I needed, thank you. And I needed something. And so I go into the psychic and she says, like, she connects and she talks about, she's like, I see flightless birds. They're black and white. She's like, I think I'm looking at a penguin right now. I don't know why I'm looking at a penguin, but I'm looking at a penguin. 3 days before he died, we had this huge, hilarious, laughing fit joke about penguins. So out of all of the things that you can pick in the entire universe, you're going to come up with penguins. I'm going to say that that's not coincidental. So things like that, where it's not general. If she would have said penguin to somebody else, they'd be like, okay, right? But it was very meaningful to me. But as to finding a person, like, quick and easy, I'm going to look in your eyes and know if you're psychic or not. You can't do it. That's just like, can you look in anybody's eyes and know if they're good or bad? Sometimes, but probably not, because people are good pickers.
That's true. So I guess where my issue comes in is, wow, I hate when this happens. My thought just zipped right out of my head. Yes, that drives me nuts. Okay, so there we go. Did you see the psychic reading? The psychic reading I did on that girl.
Yeah, where you were pulling information off the internet and cheating? Yes.
Okay, but let me get to my point. While you were watching it, were you not convinced?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my point. It is deception at work. Now, I can do it one of two ways. I can look in and investigate you beforehand, or I can pry. So for me, here's what here's where I think what they would have done to you is I'm getting this animal black and green and they'll keep going and then they'll watch your emotions in black and white. Okay.
Yeah. For fakers. Totally.
Right. But before you realize it, you're in an emotional state. They lured you in, and without even realizing, you're uttering the phrase for them.
Right.
So, like, to give you an example, when I was doing that reading, if you look back, I said, did I get, was I off? Now she goes, oh, you were only off about one thing. That one thing was everything. So I was actually off about everything, but she ignored everything else I said, and just essentially wrote off this little thing and thought, well, he's got everything else right, so he must know what he's doing. And that's where they're quick to prey on people.
Right. So you're kind of trying to use fake psychics as a way to disprove real psychics. So I understand there's fake people everywhere. So there's going to be cheaters. But the thing is, if you were to start meditating and you meditated every day and you spent a couple of months doing this and reaching out into the consciousness of the universe while you're meditating, you would be able to pick up on things like this and wouldn't be saying what you are, because it's based on the true people. It's not based on the fakers who are trying to make money. Like, here's a true person. A true psychic is somebody who's not going to charge you for a reading. Some psychics will still charge you because that's how they make their money. But real psychics, you will meet like myself and thousands and thousands and thousands of other people.
Wait, you're a real psychic?
Everybody is. Everybody is. It's just a matter of how much time you take to learn it. So I'm going to tell you about my training, okay?
Okay.
So I wanted to learn how to read cards. And I've been spiritual for a very long time, but didn't know how I'd get into it. And so I go to this class, and there's 4 other women in this class, and it's once every 2 weeks that we went.
Okay. And
we spent our time meditating, listening to intuition, and practicing on each other. So not, is your uncle's name Larry? Like, really taking a minute to tune into intuition, pull cards, and try to, like, tell within yourself when it's something in your own head that you're trying to make up, or if it's just information that is coming from outside of you. And I know it sounds crazy, but when we're talking about energy and connecting into the universe, that's exactly what it is. It comes from somewhere else.
So, okay, this is where I understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily agree with the conclusion.
Okay.
Since I was younger, I was one of the fortunate ones that I couldn't explain, but I always got feelings about people. I didn't realize I was in tune with my senses. Okay.
Okay.
And as it evolved, I began learning more about it. You know, I started studying micro expressions. And now I realize, looking back, I was picking up on these subtle hints that I wasn't even realizing. It was like my subconscious was aware of them. But to me, that's just my brain at work. Like, how do we get to saying, hey, you're performing this activity, it's happening outside of your brain? Like, to me, this can all be explained.
Let me give you some great examples. After I did these classes, I wanted to test out my what I've been learning and trying to grow on with people that I don't know whatsoever. And so my husband at the time was working at a hospital, and he rounded up a couple girls and they came in so I could do a reading. One girl, and reading is hard. Like when I read for you a while ago, I saw you getting divorced, but I couldn't tell you because your wife is walking around the room doing laundry. Okay. There's a lot of things that you can't feel comfortable with. So here's my story.
So I just for sake of clarity, I've known you a long time, Robyn. I know you're a good person, but I do have trouble accepting that.
That's fine. You can have trouble accepting it. Let me tell you my other story.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the first person that I read, I told her very specific things that within 3 to 6 months, a new life was going to come into her life, but it wasn't a baby and it wasn't a man, but a new life was going to come into her life. I didn't know what that meant, but that's the message I got. And that she was going to go on a 3-day cruise off of the coast of Florida. Okay. So detailed, it's ridiculous. The other woman, this was why I brought up what I said to you before.
Okay.
Her husband, I felt and saw, was very, very far away for oceans, many oceans, and that he was cheating on her, and that she was going to be super duper duper close with her family.
That's a dangerous thing.
I'm telling you, it's not easy. And so, of course, I preempted, like, I could be wrong. I could be stupid. This could be just made up in my head, but I'm going to give you the message anyways. And I got an email. My ex-husband and I broke up. A year later, I get an email from him saying, these chicks think you're completely insane and completely psychic because the first girl that you talked to, her children bought her a puppy and tickets to go on a 3-day cruise in Florida 4 months after you talked to her. And the other woman found out 3 months later that her husband was cheating on her in South Korea, and her family, who had not been in her life whatsoever for at least, oh God, I don't remember. It was 5 or 10 years. It was a long time. Just rushed back into her life and supported her in that time. When I told her this during the reading, she laughed at me. She's like, my family? Right. Okay. And these things happened. So I have to go off of my own experiences, not fakers' experiences.
All right. So let me go off my own. When I can confidently tell if I have a conversation with someone, now granted, it's going to be different for everybody. I may be able to figure this out in 5 minutes. Maybe it'll take a few days of knowing them. But you can usually tell the quality of the relationship by getting information from them, whether you're intending to or not. So you may have been right, or sorry, you were right, but you could have just been picking up on something naturally.
Like, how would I naturally pick up on something that she didn't even know was going to happen? Both of them had no idea.
Maybe there were warning signs. So, for example, let's say she was talking about her relationship and you heard a few things that
She said nothing to me. I didn't have a conversation with these women at all. I took them into a room and I was like, okay, guys, you ready to go? Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And that's it. I didn't even know their names.
Okay, so then I guess my other issue would be, don't you think that's kind of, I want to choose my words carefully here. It feels like what you could be doing could be irresponsible if you're saying, I don't know if this is true. I could be completely wrong, but your husband's cheating on you. Like, that's like, I mean, imagine me walking up to someone and say, hey, you know, I hate to throw this on you. I could be completely wrong, but you have cancer. Like,
Right.
that's very dangerous. That's
Right. So the thing is, spirit is holding all sorts of important messages for everybody. And if you're not meditating and taking the time to tap into it, you're not going to get those messages. Things change over time. Okay, there are circumstances that you can't be like 10 years from now, this is what's going to happen to you.
right.
Because through your decisions, your future changes, right? When you're going to give somebody a message, first of all, reading for people is really hard because you have to be cognizant of what you're telling them. And if you're getting a message like I got for you that I didn't feel comfortable giving, that's when you give those prompts of like, maybe this isn't true. I'm going to just say it because it's coming through me. That's just your way of kind of presenting to them that, well, I don't even know how to word it. It's scary to give readings about important information because it's true, but it's heavy, right?
So I don't want to focus too much because I know we have a lot to cover, but from my perspective, I'm essentially, you and I have a similar, I'm putting ability in quotes, where we can both read people, but I'm not seeing any demonstration or an example of how I can believe this is anything outside of our minds.
Okay. So maybe the first place to start is either talking about past lives or telepathy, because it's all on the same page of energy and the connection of our consciousness. So
before you do that, could I have you answer this question real quick? Randy would like to know where the information comes from when you're getting this.
So everybody's consciousness, like I was kind of explaining before, is like, it's like a tree. So it branches out, but it's all connected to the same main streamline of consciousness.
Okay.
So intuition, or when you're meditating, connecting to that, that's where it's coming from. That streamline of consciousness that we are all constantly connected to and able to access with patience and meditation and trusting yourself.
Okay. All right. So you wanted to go into past lives, correct?
Yes. Okay. So we were talking earlier about, your consciousness is in your mind for now, right? And it can be outside of your mind if you're doing out-of-body experiences or astral travel. That's another thing we can chat about. So there are thousands and thousands of documented cases by doctors, by reputable sources, and simply by parents raising their children. Parents that are either uber conservative or say incredibly Christian will have a child who at the age of 3 or 4 will start talking about very specific details of things they shouldn't know anything about. There's one boy who was writing James III on all of his drawings at the age of 3, but his name was just James. And he was drawing these very specific images of planes going down in an ocean with an island. And as time went on, his parents were like, we're Christians. We don't believe in this kind of thing. So we're just going to ignore it and let it go. And he keeps coming out with more and more details. And he's like, Dad, that's a B-40. Those tires went flat on us all the time. And he's like, this is the name of a ship that I was working on or flew off of or something. And then just other multiple, very detailed details that the dad ended up being like, you know what, I'm going to push past the thoughts that I have about this and I'm going to look into it. He looked into it and verified James something the third was in this specific plane that the child mentioned off of this one boat. There were only 2 boats in the ocean at this time, whatever. All the details panned out. And what James needed to do was to release his old life so he could move forward, because it was actually really affecting his life, his dreams. He had a lot of anxiety because he had died in a very fiery, very bad plane crash. So past lives can connect to us in our current lives through fears or through unrealistic expectations or all sorts of things like that. And there's tons of documented experiences of children between the ages of 3 and 6 around the entire world that are able to list their old friends and family and things that they did that they would never know as a 3-year-old.
Right. I'm curious how this conversation went. Richard, you and me need to talk more.
You and Richard would be
you're
best.
Late, Huck. Sorry. And I don't think you actually, you have a regular full-time job, correct?
Yeah, if people ask me to read for them, I don't ask for money. I just do it.
Well, you did do it for me for free, so.
Yeah, I do for everybody for free. Yeah.
So let's go after this kid story. So
yeah,
let's say my nephew comes up to me and starts talking about my brother and saying things there's no way he can know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that shows?
I mean, that can be a lot of things.
Exactly. It can be a lot of things. So, for example, where my mind goes is, all right, he's picking up on things he's hearing in the family. And that could very easily be said with the kid you're describing. The dad began investigating it. You said no, but were you there?
So I would love for you to check out, and I can give you a book called Life Before Life, and I can give you links to at least 30 different experiences where parents who don't believe in these things had children who had absolutely no way of having the information they do about this other person. It's not like a friend or family member that they've come from previously. It's people who are thousands of miles away and a different skin color and a different sex and with different jobs that they would have no way of picking up on unless they experienced it. So I'll link you. I will link you.
Yeah, please do. And here's the thing, though, is these explanations are always okay. Let's say we take another atheist right now who doesn't believe in supernatural claims, and all of a sudden they're like, "I'm a believer." Again, that doesn't do anything for the argument. It just means that person was convinced. Now, the person you're talking about is not a believer. I mean, they could be gullible. They could be easily, all it takes is friends and family like, oh, your kid is feeling something special. He's in tune with the universe. And before you know it, people who are more receptive to that are going to start buying into it. And they're like, wow, my kid's onto something. And they're going to start feeding into it, which.
So you're saying that based on the idea that it's wrong. And so you're saying it in a really negative way, like they're going to feed into it. But the thing is, when you're connected to spirit, yes, again, you can't disprove the good things with talking about the wrong side of it. Like, yes, there are situations where maybe parents will influence their children by giving them information that would lead into this, but I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of people, thousands of children who have come out with the most verifiable and unaccessible information. And that's where you got to start looking. You need to look at experiences that people have, because right now we don't have a science that says, all right, when you die, your consciousness goes from here to here, and then it goes over there. Right. You have to take the experiences that humans are having as evidence, and there's a lot of it.
Okay, so I guess I would not consider it evidence personally.
People's experiences about past lives, the lives that they lived, is not good evidence?
No. I guess the only way it would be good evidence for me is, one, if I knew that person right. and I followed them on that entire journey and knew they were not, nobody else was feeding into that. There was no way they could investigate it. You have to have
some investigation, because there's a lot of experiences where this happens. You're just saying you don't believe it because you yourself haven't had it in your face.
So, okay. Do you believe, sorry, like me, I'm assuming you're probably convinced there are aliens out there, correct?
Oh, I've seen them, so yes.
Okay, well, that just kind of threw all right, well, here, that's fine. Were you, that just totally cut out my entire argument. You've seen aliens.
I've seen UFOs with my friends in a verifiable experience that we videotaped.
UFOs or aliens?
UFOs.
Okay. So that's cool. All right. So aliens. Just because 100 people see aliens doesn't mean there were actual aliens. Like, if you look back, people are subject to mass hysteria. You know, they egg each other on. That's what happens. Like, when people don't have an explanation or when they get scared, they quickly start grabbing and they start latching on to anything they can find, so they can at least have this sense of control and understanding. So to me, those experiences are just simply saying that these people could have been easily convinced. Like, it doesn't hold any weight to the.
Here's my question.
Sure.
If you were to, what would you need for it to be proven to you that boy A was born into girl A and that is the same consciousness in another body? What would you need to prove it? Because I don't think you're going to be able to come up with anything other than watching someone from the moment they're born and hearing everything that is put into their ears and it happening to them.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I want to flip. I'm going to get a little ridiculous here, but I hope you get the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
How do you know a pink unicorn didn't give birth to me?
Because it's nonsensical.
There'd be no reason to believe that, right?
Right, but there's a lot of reasons to believe in reincarnation as to all of the proof that there of the thousands of experiences that are documented for it.
So, but here's where I guess where the disconnect is. If let's say 1,000 people have these past life experiences, okay, without being able to investigate that, the only thing it is people claiming they had past life experiences. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. How can you investigate someone physically leaping or their consciousness traveling from a dead body X amount ago to this new body?
You prove that through so that's why I like the book Life Before Life, because it's doctors that are going to these different places all around the world, talking to children who have had these experiences and gathering all of the evidence. And this is all you can do, is gather the evidence and put together your conclusion, right? So when you have thousands and thousands of children whose parents are coming to you like, my kid is saying this crazy stuff and this, that, and you have 1,000 things that line up, the names of their siblings and the things that they did and phrases that they had with their families. You take this evidence from all these thousands of experiences and use that as the beginning of your research. Because right now we have no science to be able to track consciousness, nor do I think we will.
So, okay, but again, why should I believe that consciousness is anything outside my mind?
Okay, we're going to talk about this on a different level instead of reincarnation. Shirt's coming off.
All right. You're getting serious now?
I'm getting sweaty over here. All right, so have you seen the study with multiple studies, but two different ones I'm going to talk about. The first one is Dr. Masaru Emoto, who did a study with water. And what he did with this water is he would put a drop of water on all these different slides and freeze them. But before he freeze them, he had a control group that wasn't touched. He had another group that was meditated on with different emotions: love, peace, joy, happiness. And then he had a grouping of water that was meditated on with bad feelings: hate, anger, fear, and all of that. And the difference in the water after it had frozen between the control group, the angry group, and the loving group was insane. The loving group had the most beautiful snowflake-like designs in it. The anger group had really gross globs and like weird, gross-looking water. I don't know. Okay. And then the control group was basically unchanged. There's also other studies done where people take plants.
Sorry, can we address that?
Well, there's the same thing, so I'm just going to throw it out to give you all the evidence, and then you can bash it. So
no, I'm not bashing. I'm having a conversation.
I'm just kidding. I'm okay with it. So there's plants, and you either focus on loving the plant or you focus on hating the plant. You have control plant, you have happy plant, you have angry plant. And the plants that are given positive emotions flourish. And there's also the angry plant where you give all your bad vibrations and they will wilt and turn brown and gross. And so this is how consciousness affects things around us. So my saying that I love you, it's not words coming out of my mouth. It's not words, it's the emotions that make the effect. And that is proven in plants and water, that the emotion actually change the structure and growth rate of both of these different molecules.
Okay, so I don't know who this doctor is. So I don't know his credibility or his credentials.
Okay.
For the sake of the argument, I will accept and grant you that he's credible, and I'll move forward from there. Mm-hmm. So let's say his experiment was properly done, and I accept everything he put on the table.
Mm-hmm.
All that experiment shows is that emotions have an effect on plants.
Yes.
It does not show any type of like consciousness or supernatural interconnectivity. But that would
How does it not? So if the things that you're saying or feeling towards water or a plant will affect it, that is literally your energy interacting with the energy of the water or the plant. That is the same kind of idea behind psychics, because you're connecting to the energy, right? And affecting the energy around you.
But energy can be observed and explained. And I have no issue with that. I have the issue when it comes to that supernatural attachment to it.
So how is that not supernatural to you? If you were to, and it would be cool if you tested this out yourself. This is a real test.
I actually want to try it, but that means I have to be a dick to water. I don't want to be a dick to anybody.
3 plants. No, you're going to get 3 plants, the same exact plant, and you put one in a space, one in another place, well, actually, no. Put them in the same place for the same lighting. Hate on one of them, love on the other one, ignore the other one, and you will see a difference in them. And that is supernatural as to what you're describing, because it is not proven science that my thoughts are affecting this plant. All we have is these little studies that show that.
Okay, so let's real quick, Jen. Is Robyn claiming that plants and water have a higher intelligence to process basic and complex emotions?
I don't know about processing basic and complex emotions. My response to that is that they can absolutely be affected by our energy, whether that is positive or negative. They're affected by it. I don't think they process it in the sense of thinking about it, but that's just me. Okay.
So you think this demonstrates some type of supernatural thing?
Just energetic connection between everything.
But just to make the distinction, I have no issue with the energy part of your argument. I'm talking about the supernatural attachment to it. So you are saying there is something supernatural at play, correct?
What do you mean by that?
I guess I'm trying to understand how far you're going with this, because to me, the conclusion is emotions affect plants. That's all. That if that study was legitimate and credible, that's the only thing it shows is emotions affect plants.
How is that not supernatural to you? That something within you, your emotions, what you think happens in your brain, is affecting something outside of you. That, in definition, is supernatural.
I would disagree with that. I would say we don't actually have the explanation for it, although there could be an explanation that I'm not aware of. Puck, you're the science nerd. Let me know if there is an explanation for that. But to me, you're attaching additional things onto this when it's simply it's all
tied in. Like if your emotions or your inside things happening affect something outside of you, per your definition, that's supernatural, right? And that's the same thing with consciousness and psychic, is that you're connecting to someone else and either affecting them or they're affecting you, but it's not something that I can put on a screen and, show scientifically. So until it is scientifically shown, my, the energy coming off of my cells, moving this way into a plant, it is supernatural until that's proven, as are all of my other beliefs.
Okay, and one of those things was, I feel I could keep going back and forth on this, but I feel like we're both kind of stuck. I'm not seeing the supernatural side of it. I'm seeing simply that we don't know.
Right. And to me, it's just unproven science. Like, I see this both with psychicness and with connecting to other people and reading their energies and connecting to plants. This is all simply just energy that scientists, okay, there are certain things where it shows that a cell is in, well, actually, it's not even a cell, it's like an electron, will be in multiple places at one time. And if you get
This
rid
is
of
why
one,
I need to start reading more. I'm sorry.
it affects the other one. And
Okay.
so it's the idea that cells vibrating on the same frequency are able to connect with each other. And cells vibrating on different frequencies are going to affect each other as well. It's just unproven science. It's not really supernatural. It's
I don't
really
call it
just
unproven
vibration.
science. It's just, it can't be science if it's not proven.
So vibration and energy is a growing science. So I'm not going to sit here and say that some of these things are completely proven, but I'm not going to say that they're not, because they're just not mainstream, and they're also still needing more depth. But it's the start of something science. It is science growing to better science.
What Robyn is missing is, if you look at an object with love or empathy, your physical reactions will reflect that. If you are ignoring and showing anger towards an object, your physical reflections reflect. This is why plants thrive on different levels of emotional attachment due to their care.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So energy affects the things around you, whether it be plants or water or people.
Right. But just energy is where that explanation stops.
Well, and everything, see, this is the thing, it doesn't stop there. Energy is everything.
Correct.
Our consciousness is energy. The way that we process food within our body, the way we move and walk and sleep, everything comes down to energy. It's the most important science that needs deep revelations in.
So, okay, even if energy is in everything, what does that prove?
So it proves our connectedness as a race to each other and to all of the things surrounding us. It proves how much influence that we have over people and circumstances in our life. And it also is the most encouraging thing in the world to know that you are connected to literally everybody that has ever existed and have the ability to have that connection.
But would you say something being encouraging is a path to the truth?
Well, just because it is encouraging doesn't mean it's not truth. Like, yes, it feels good to know that, but that's not why I'm looking for it. I have been by myself in so many ways my entire life, and I don't.
Oh, I know. Here. I've known you a long time. You are a very strong, independent woman.
Right. So I don't
fact,
have that.
You knew me when I was a conservative Republican jerk.
And you knew me when I was a party girl with no morals.
I wouldn't say that. And by the way, I wasn't saying conservative Republicans are a jerk. I was saying I was one, just for clarity. I'm sorry. What do you mean you didn't have morals? You always seemed like a good. You always seemed like a good person to me. So you were always super nice, always super sweet. You knew how to have fun. I do not see this immoral person you're talking about.
I wasn't immoral, but I was different.
You've grown up. But I don't, unless you were out robbing banks, I wouldn't say you were immoral.
No.
Okay. Let's move on to telepathy.
Okay.
What is telepathy to you?
Telepathy is just like, reading cards, basically, in the sense that you are connecting to somebody's energy and you are receiving messages from them.
So, sorry, say that one more time.
So it's the same thing as like reading cards and like psychic stuff, is you're connecting to somebody else's vibrational frequency and passing or receiving messages from them.
So how do you know it's what? So you're putting the label telepathy on it. I would just think, hey, I'm good at reading people. I can
No,
study.
different rooms. Like, for example, there's a great study that was done where there were two people opposite sides of the building in a Faraday cage. And there was one person who in the room, there was a red light, and the other person was in a completely dark room. And so the study was to see if the person in the dark room was able to tell when the light came on in the other room based on the other person's experience. And it was very strong, like significant, statistically significant in the amount of times that the person in the dark room would raise their hand because they saw a red light, in a sense, when it was on in the other room, on the other side of the building with another person.
Okay. So Jen Aldrich, actually a fellow atheist, does card readings too. Jen, when are you going to come on the show? Seriously, why are you not here?
Right.
You should be doing the card readings.
What she's talking about is, again, when you're like reading other people's physicality, when you read people like that you're not looking at, you do it over the phone or you do it over the web, you can't use that as an excuse anymore to discount it.
Sorry, wait, what?
She had said, you know, when you do card readings, you're reading other people's emotions and things. And I just want to say that it's important as well to know that you can do readings without looking at somebody. I've done readings through the computer where a person had their camera covered and I didn't see them for a moment and I listed out a bunch of stuff. So,
all right. So
reading people.
Would you do a reading if I could find someone in the audience to come on the show?
Yeah, totally.
All right. If you're in the audience, here's what I need. If you're interested in being read and you don't know Robyn, put it in the comments right now. I will send you the link. You don't turn your camera on and we'll just hear your audio.
Okay.
Just in the comments, if you want to be that person, let me know. I would love to see this in action. I'm sorry. I'm totally putting you on the spot, Robyn.
Whatever.
Dude. All right. We got someone.
All right.
This is kind of cool. All right. Jen, I am going to send you the link right now. Okay. Jen, check your Facebook. There is a link in there. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. Okay, so while we're waiting to see if Jen's able to make it, Casper, if Jen's not able to, wait, Puck, no, Puck, sad to see you go, my friend. Okay, I got to stop doing that. Okay. Yeah, Jen, check your Facebook messages. Cool. So, while we're waiting for Jen, I totally lost my train of thought once again. Awesome. She's setting up right now. So this is
I've already
super
pulled
cool.
cards for her, so we're good.
This is going to be cool. I am excited. And I don't want to say anything about her because I know her a little bit now, but I'll say after just because this is personally really friggin' exciting. Anyways, okay, so here we go. Jen Aldrich, are you there? Jen?
Hold on, I'm working on sound because the child.
Oh, this is awesome.
Let me work.
I love when stuff like this works out. Impromptu reading. I am excited to see where this goes.
Come on.
I already pulled
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Okay, can you hear us, Jen?
Yep.
All right, sweet. Robyn, the stage is yours.
Here we go. Okay. All right. It's been a minute since I've read. And one thing that I just want to express is that I have been crazy with my life. So hopefully this is as accurate as some of my readings were years ago when I was much more meditative and in tune with these things. But all right.
And
So
yes,
we're gonna
sorry. So
Go ahead.
tomorrow night, Puck has his show at 8:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Make sure you tune in. Sorry, Robyn.
You're fine. All right. So it is going to be more of a past, present, future, and advice kind of thing. Okay?
I am going to request that this not be a general, oh, you've had troubled relationships. Oh, you've had a hard life. I've done these readings. I'm an atheist. I know how to cold read. I know how to soft read. So if you really want to convince me, please save the generalization and the textbook meaning.
Right. And so one thing that's really important to make sure that a reading works is if you're totally open to it. And so you need to have
Honey,
your
I
walls
did the
down.
same line. If you can read, you can read. It doesn't matter how closed off somebody is. If you truly have a telepathic ability, it doesn't matter if the connection is wholly severed. If you truly are sitting here talking about how neurons and cells interact with each other, then the hold off connection wouldn't affect anything. But go ahead.
I hear that attitude in your voice, and that's more what puts up those walls than anything. So when it comes to energy, energy has to be freely flowing for it to be accessible.
Oh, honey, if you knew anything about me, I'm wide open on everything. So go ahead.
So I'm not really feeling that vibe right now because
So are you saying that you can't?
I'm saying that you have put me off from this with your vibes here. Yes.
So a skeptical person asking you to prove your claims puts you off. Is that what you're saying?
Your vibes?
No, I'm not asking about a skeptical vibe. A skeptical person is asking you to prove your claims right now, regardless of the vibe. Either you can or cannot do that.
So if you understand the way that connection works, then
But you haven't solidified your claim and how a connection works. So please prove it.
So I would love to read for someone else that is more open and not quite so rude in your
Not
tone.
quite so skeptical?
No, you're just not open to it. And that's not going to
you wanted to prove to a non-believer that you are able to do this. Yet here comes a non-believer and you can't.
Right. So if you're going to be like rude and overbearing,
I'm not being rude. I'm asking you
right?
to prove your claim.
I would love to prove my claim to somebody who is not so raw, right?
Oh,
so
that's just me, sweetheart. Even if I was being sugary, sweet, nice to you, I still am aggressive, which should not affect your reading. If you are truly able to claim that you can do a full reading based and up against a skeptic, then come against a skeptic's energy. Anybody who you're going to sit here and claim is not open enough is somebody that you are going to look to lead. I have done these readings. I know people that have made money off of this. You're looking to cold read, you're looking for reactions, and you are unwilling to sit here with a skeptic and tout your claim because the energy isn't open. If you are able to telepathically connect or transfer energy, then my energy should have nothing to do with it. You should be able to stake your claim. You are the one who sat here with the burden of proof to be acknowledged, yet will not acknowledge that.
Can you imagine having a conversation in person?
I do it all the time,
can I finish the
sweetheart.
sentence?
Check out my shows.
I'd love to finish the sentence. Thank you. So if you were having a regular conversation with someone in person and you were talking to them like that, would you expect them to even be open to you?
I do it all the time on the shows that I do. What you are looking for is confirmation bias.
I am more than happy to read
looking
for somebody who is skeptical.
If you want to come up against a skeptic, then
I'm happy to read. I'm happy to read for someone who's skeptical. I'm not happy to read for someone who's rude. Okay.
So you're looking for confirmation bias, is what you're looking for.
I'm not. I'm looking for someone who's not going to be berating from the.
I'm not berating you. I'm asking you to solidify your claim.
Okay.
You ask for the burden
another person who's not going to be so rude.
You ask for the burden of proof to be placed on you, and here we are. I do this for
I can't talk to someone who's rude. I just can't.
All right.
So harsh.
Is there? Thank you, Jen.
I'll back out, honey. You can continue.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Is there someone more open to being read? If you are,
honestly, my friend, at this point, I have just been thrown into this very uncomfortable.
We don't have to do the reading.
I don't have this vibe right now, but I would love for you to do this again with me. And I'm so happy reading for skeptics. What I won't do is read for somebody who's going to berate what I am doing before I even do it, because I can't talk to someone like that on a regular basis, let alone on a psychic basis.
Right. I'm sorry, Robyn. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable.
I don't get heated like this either. I'm really kind. That was really affrontive, and I don't appreciate it.
I apologize. I did not. I really did not mean to make you uncomfortable. I
No,
didn't
no,
know how.
It's just a very violent experience right there. Feels unnecessary.
Okay, so you want to just stop there?
We can keep going. We can talk about more things, and I'm happy to read for someone who's a skeptic. That's not a fear of mine.
You sure you want to keep going? Because we can.
I'll leave it up to you. It's your show.
Okay. Well, this is the thing with live. You literally never know what is going to happen. Okay, so Robyn, stay here. Okay, don't go anywhere. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Park will be back here tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Everyone, have a really good evening. Thank you, Robyn.